Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen, Allahumma alimna ma yanfa'una, wanfa'na bima tu'alimna, wa zidna bi fadlika ilman wa ta'aliman, innaka ala kulli shay'in qadir. So we have seen pronouns, right? Words like anta, which means you speaking to. Who do I say anta to? Male or female? Masculine, right? And anti, which is female, right? And antum, which is you all. How do you say that in Urdu? Right. Plural, right? Now, how do you say up in Arabic? Up, right? In classical Arabic or modern standard Arabic, on the news, you would say antum. If I'm speaking to a sheikh, I would speak to him in the plural. That's why we say assalamu alaikum. In real Arabic, which is called pre-classical Arabic, the language of the Quran and of the Hadith, there's no up. You say anta to Allah. So you say to Allah. It's like, sounds strange. Why would you say that to Allah? It's not very respectful, right? That's how you speak in Arabic. So you say assalamu alayka ya Rasul, assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabiy in the tashahhud. It's not assalamu alaykum because he's one, right? Innaka to Allah, antum, anta to Allah, etc. So this is used for out of respect and not respect. If you're speaking to a child, you say anta. Speaking to Allah, you say anta. The same. There's no up or etc. It doesn't exist. In Egypt, they'll use the word hazrat. Right? You have that in hazrat. So say hadratkum. Would your presence like this? Would your presence like that? Right? That's the style they use today. Right? But otherwise, in proper Arabic, the Arabic of the Quran and Hadith, they use the word anta. That's it. Anta. Okay? We use the word huwa, which means or, it. We use the word hiya, which means she or it. We use the word nahnu. Nahnu, which means we. We use, what's another word? Hum, which means they, masculine plural. Hunna, which means they, feminine plural. What else do we use? Huma, those two. Antuma, you two. Right? Antuma. We use the word antum, which means you all, right? And the word antunna, which means antunna, you all female. Antunna. Okay? So these are called pronouns, right? Now, in Arabic, what's going to happen? These are all called detached pronouns, pronouns that are by themselves. You see them on a page, and what? They're not attached to any other word. And then there are attached pronouns. So if I get the word anta, which means you, and I add it to inna, I don't say inna anta. I say inna ka. Totally different. Totally different word, right? Suddenly it's totally different. I'm saying, indeed you are. You say innaka. Totally different word, right? Innakum. You say assalamu alaykum. Alaykum and antum is the same, but it's a totally different thing. So that's called an attached pronoun. Okay, it looks different. Some of them look similar. Like this will just be the same, but it just be attached. So I'll say, for example, innahuma. Innahuma. That's it. So I just have an attached ha as opposed to non-attached ha. It's the same word, but it's just attached. It's just written connected, that's all. But the number of them will change drastically. They look very, very different. Okay? So that's what we're looking at today is attached pronouns, yes?
So in the beginning, when you talk about speaking Arabic, you say that to respect.
Yeah. Today Arabic there's two types of Arabic that's spoken today. Modern Standard Arabic, okay, and colloquial Arabic. So Modern Standard Arabic is an international language, right, which is spoken formally in Arab countries. It's So when you write a document, when you speak on the news, you're going to speak in modern standard Arabic. Modern standard Arabic and Quranic Arabic are like 99% the same, but differences like that. In Quranic Arabic, you don't say antum to Allah. Whereas today, if I'm speaking to the president, I would say, Assalamu alaikum, kayfa halukum. I'm speaking to you as plural. That would be respectful. That's like ab.
Is that also colloquial?
That's not colloquial. Colloquial, you might throw that in as well, right? But so colloquial is every single country, and even in that country, there is how they actually speak, which is very different, right? So I remember my kids, they had a Syrian teacher, so they're saying khamsi. Like, what's khamsi? So in some places in Syria, any word that ends in a ta marbuta, the fatha before it is very sharp. They say khamsi, sitte. Right? That's how they speak. Like, what's that? That's that area, right? And so if you hear Damascus Arabic is one thing. Syrians who are on the border between Jordan and Syria, totally different. So in Jordan itself, you have those who are affected by Palestinian dialects, those who are not affected, the people who are closer to Saudi, not in Saudi. Kuwait is different to Iraq, even though they're right next to each other, right? It's that, you know, and so there's general things like in general, like North Africa in general, like say Morocco, Tunisia, but it's otherwise like it's quite different, right? It's quite different. And so that's why like some people you might study it, like I want to know actually like in Egypt, like I have Egyptian colleagues, I understand them like 90% when they actually speak their dialect, right? It's like if you speak Farsi and you speak Dari and Farsi, they're not the same really. There is a difference, right? You're going to hear somebody in Iran saying Nist, like what's Nist? And you're like, is it Nist or Nist? It's like you understand them, but it's significantly different, right? And there are certain words like you get lost, like what did they even say, right? Like you wouldn't say khubi. Would you say khubi? You understand it because khub, right? But khubi is like, what's that? Right? Okay, so spoken is 50,000 different dialects. There's probably like 1,000, 10,000 different dialects, right? But we're not interested in that. But what's on the news, Al Jazeera, is modern standard Arabic, right? Okay. So what we're looking at is this shift. What happens when you get a word like inna, if you get a preposition, if you get a verb and you connect it, how is it going to change? Okay, so we're going to look at on page 28, right in the middle, there's a diagram. Okay, so those who have the book, does anybody not have the book with them? You have the book there? I think you just have the workbook. Is that right? Well, you have the printout? Okay. So we look at that diagram, right? Some of them are basically just connected, and that's all. It's just the writing. So if you look at the plural, it says, for example, hum and him. So it's the same word. So hum is just connected. So if I say their book, for example, right, so if I get the word hum, I get the word hum, which means they. Well, that means they. Okay? If I'm going to say their book, I say kitabuhum. Kitabuhum. Right? That's one way of writing the hair, by the way. Right? I could do it like this as well. I could do it like this. Okay? So that's just one way of writing it. Okay? So that's kitabuhum. Okay? Their book. Yeah, this means their book. So the word they is the same word, hum and hum. But then if I was to say something else like in their book, fi kitabihim, fi kitabihim. I'm going to change the vowel on it, kitabihim. Okay? So the H is a soft vowel. That's why we say things like what is it? an hotel. They used to say an hotel or an hundred because it's like a soft, it's a soft vowel. It's almost like a vowel. And so what happens is the haraka goes through and you say kitabuhum or fi kitabihim. That him is different to hum. Hum is always going to be hum as they. But if it was their book, or if it was, then it might change from u to e. But that's just pronunciation. That's all. Because the fi is making the word kitab have a kasra because it's genitive. That's a preposition. So therefore now kitabi. And now for pronunciation reasons, you're saying him, not hum. You can also say hum. It's also a proper Arabic to say that. You can say fi kitabihim or kitabihum. So غير المغضوب عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم. Both are correct. You can say both. Right? Different qira'at which reflect at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, you're in Medina, they say one thing, and Mecca say something else, and Ta'if they say something else. But it's the same word. Just, is it bath or is it bath or is it bath? It's the same word. Just this is English. That's how it is, right? Is it nist or is it nist? Right? Which is correct. Like I don't know. Right? I have a fight about it, but it's not. It's just that's just different words for it. Okay. So ignore that for now because you're not going to see that in Hafs. But fi kitabihim, this is what we'll see. So that him, hum, that's not a big change. You can still know the word. It's still they, their. It's the same kind of thing, right? It's not a big change, right? So hum and him is not a big change. Hunna and hinna, same word, right? That's just pronunciation. It's not a big difference.
Why did he write kitabihim? What's the difference?
One has a kasra, hum, and him.
Yeah.
Nothing, just pronunciation. Is that if it had a kasra for it, you would pronounce it with a kasra, that's all. So that's the only change you're going to see, otherwise the same thing. So what I'm trying to say is hum doesn't really change very much. That's not a problem, right? So that's not a problem to memorize him and hum, right? Kum is totally different, right? Look at antum, right? You, plural, antum. Okay, and then I say, Assalamu alaikum. That's very different. Right, kum and antum. What's the connecting thing is the meme sounds the same, the dhamma sounds the same, but otherwise it's a totally different word. That's a totally different word. That's like I and me. It doesn't sound the same at all. Right? So that's kind of difficult. Kum, kunna, and antunna, very different. Na and nahnu. Right? So nahnu becomes na. That's very different. I mean, there's a noon in it, but that's very different. So I'd say inna nahnu becomes inna. Our book would be kitabuna, right? He saw us, ra'ana. But otherwise, nahnu is we. Okay? When it's attached, nahnu becomes na, which looks very different. Okay? And then the dual, huma is the same, kuma, right? Na, and then the singular. So huwa becomes who or he. Okay? So let's look at the word huwa. Huwa goes through a lot of different changes. Because it's a small word, right? Because it's a very small word, it will go through. Who will have 4 different versions. We have the word huwa, that's just as it is. That means he. Okay? Can you see why I wouldn't bother putting harakat? Because every 2 minutes it's going to change. Like, why would I bother doing that? Right? So now I'm going to have 4 different versions of saying who when it's attached. If I said, for example, kitabuhu, okay, and then dhamma, and then in the Pakistani Mus'haf you're going to see this, right? Or they might write it like this, upside down. How do they write it? Like upside, it's like an upside down dhamma, something like that, right? So what they're saying is you pronounce it as if it was this. You pronounce it as if it's long. That's what they're telling you, right? So that means huwa can become who, which is long. We don't write it long. We don't write the wow there, but you write it long, okay? And it could also become short, like abuhu. Okay, and that's not abuhu, abuhu. Okay, so it could be long, but it could be short. Okay, fi kitabihi, fi kitabihi. So again, that's how I would write it. In Arabic, I just write it like that. But you would know it's not kitabihi, it's kitabihi, long, right? So again, you could write it like, they might put a little ya after it like that, or they might put a, like this, right? Put a thing like that in the Pakistani mushaf like that, kitabihi. So this is long, right? So this can create a mad, that would not create a mad, right? Because that's long. So then if there's an alif here, it would have a mad, right? Yes. His book? In his book, yeah. But the point is this is long, okay? This is long. Fi kitabihi, there's a kind of a ya sound here, okay? And then, I will explain in a second. I'll explain in a second, okay? And then, an abihi, from his father. An abihi. Abihi. Okay? So what's happening here? We're dealing with a very small sound. That small sound is very sensitive, so it's moving around a lot. Here it's preceded by a dhamma or a fatha. That's why we have a dhamma sound. Here it's preceded by a dhamma or a fatha sound. Ooh. That's why it has a fatha, a dhamma. Here it's preceded by a kasra or ya sound. That's why it becomes he. Here it's preceded by a kasra or ya sound. That's why it becomes he. So that's rule number one. Is it going to be he or who? Well, if it's preceded by a fatha or dhamma sound, it's who. If it's preceded by a kasra or ya sound, it's he. That's rule number one. Okay, now how do I know if it's long or short? And what's the difference in meaning? The answer is there's no difference in meaning. But the reason why it's extended is for the rhythm. For the rhythm. So kitabuhu, as opposed to kitabuhu, which is very difficult to say. Right? And we do that all the time in English. Rhythm is very important. Right? We have a da-da, da-da. In English, we speak like this. Da-da, 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 da-da. That's how we speak. And if we don't, it sounds awkward for us. We say, that's classic Shakespeare, to be or not to be, that is the question. So that's how we normally speak. The rhythm of English is like that. The rhythm of other language is not like that. Right? If you listen to, for example, Italian, my mom speaks Italian. It has a sound, right? You can't say Farid. You say Farido. Everything's like this. Everything has a certain rhythm, right? They have a rhythm. So Arabic has a certain rhythm. You can't say kitabuhu. That's too awkward. You say kitabuhu. It's weird to say that. You have to stop on something. So kitabuhu, right? But this is long. You can say this. Abuhu. That's fine. Because you had long, so short, long, short. That's easy. Abuhu. That's easy. I can say that. Here it's kitabihi. So whenever it's a short vowel before it, it's going to have a long. This becomes long. So this is short vowel, so that's long. Short vowel, so that's long. Long vowel, so this is short. Long vowel, so that's short. Okay? Now in Arabic, it's just a ha. That's why you just write a ha. All of that's already assumed. And that's just pronunciation. Nobody bothered putting a fatha dhamma kasra, and nobody bothered putting a ya or a kasra. They just, you just do it. Just like, is it, how do you pronounce this? How do you pronounce that? How would you pronounce that? That's pronounced as a Z. Okay, why didn't you write a Z then? Because it's the same. It's like you can work it out. How can I work it out? Well, have I learned that this is a voiced and this is unvoiced? Did I learn that when I was 5? Say, no, you just pronounced it. So you go and ask any 5-year-old, is it dog or is it cat? And they're like, why are you asking me? They just do it without thinking. It's complex when you're learning the language. When is it an S and when is it a Z? But when you just learn the language, just how it is. You just write an S and you don't even think about it. It's pronounced in 2 different ways. That's just how it is, right? And so it's quite complex, but it's complex when you as an outsider. From the inside, it's easy. Okay. So anyway, huwa has 4 forms: who, and he, and he. Right. So again, in tajweed, this can create a mad. That will not create a mad. Right. Kitab abuhu. That's it. But this could be, for example, there could be a hamza after it, right? Hamza after it, and then it becomes very long, right? Creates a three count mad, right? Like, okay.
And you mentioned when having fatha, dhamma, which letter are we talking about? Let's suppose if you take the example
So
of
if there is an a or u, so it's a fatha or dhamma sound before the ha, it stays dhamma.
Okay.
If there's a kasra or ya sound before it, so assalamu alayhi, right? So it's going to change like that. So kasra or ya sound before the ha, it will change into a ha, right? So this is just variables of one sound, just one thing, just the variables that it has.
So what would this Assalamu alayhi
Peace be upon him.
Okay, what about
Assalamu alaykum, peace be upon you.
Oh,
Okay, so that's what's happening with who. Who has, it mentions 1, 2, 3, 4. In reality, it has how many variables? This is the way they wrote it. It has 4 variables. So who, and he, and he. Okay, that's what's happening there. Ha is easy. That's ha. So here becomes ha. That's it. Innaha kitabuha. Assalamu alayha. So here becomes ha. Looks similar-ish, I guess, but it is different. Anta becomes ka, anti becomes ki, and then we have me. The ana becomes a ya. Okay, but it comes again because the ya is a single thing, it has various different variables. So ana changes to, it could be a ya with a sukoon, could be a ya with a fatha, could be a ya, a noon with a kasra, like this. And it's going to vary, right? So by default, it's this. Okay, by default, it's this. So kitabi, my book, right? But you say ra'ani, he saw me. So after a verb, you put in this what's called noon and a wiqaya, you put this noon there. The point of the noon is to save the sound of the ya, right? So if let's imagine if I had a verb like ra'a, right? Ra'ani, he saw me. Ra'ani. If I took out that noon, what would I say? And just put in a ya with a sukoon on it. How would it sound? Ra'ay. It's like a very strange sound. Ra'ay. What's that? So you can't, it doesn't sound proper. So when you say ra'ani, the noon just cuts off. That's one sound, this is a new sound. Okay? Yeah, that means, so ra'a is he saw and ni is me. So what's the noon doing? Where'd that noon come from? It's just to break it off from the verb, that's all. But essentially it's a yeah, but it's a yeah that's like enforced with a noon. It would just, with a verb you would never do that. You'd never do that with a verb. Yeah. Yeah. Similarly, for example, like you have min, which means from, okay? And then if I'm just going to add a yeah to it, it's like, how do you even pronounce that? Min, like what's that? Like you can't even pronounce this. What do you say? Minni. Ah, that sounds nice. Minni. That's something I can actually pronounce. So all of these things are like, how would you put these sounds together? Right? It just sounds really weird. Okay? So minni, you actually use this. Minni. So then you can have 2 noons. Minni. Right? Here, for example, my stick. Asaya. Asaya. So if I put asai, that's a very strange sound. Asai. Like it's too long. So asaya, I can pronounce that. So you put a fatha there just to pronounce it. Yeah, that's possible as well. But no, they don't do that. I mean, logically, why not, right? Asani. But that would actually mean he disobeyed me. That's something else. So yeah, so why would you not put a yeah? I guess because you can get away with it by just putting a fatha. I mean, Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I guess this is the easier. This is step one. Like if you can solve the sound problem with a yeah, then you do that. I guess that's the reason. Yeah, something like that, right? But again, what's the logic? It's not really logic because we're talking about what they do. Like that's what Arabs do. You know, you say, well, why do you do this? Logically, why couldn't you say dog? Why couldn't you just say? And I could, right? Logically, you can do many things, but that's not. They just don't speak like that. Okay. Yes.
What's the difference between ya with a sukoon and then ya
Nothing.
with a fatha?
Nothing. This all means me. That's what it means, me. But it's just where is it going to be used? You can't just use a yeah with a sukoon with every single word because it won't sound right. It just won't sound right. So kitab, like what's that? That's not a sound. So there's certain sounds that just don't sound right in Arabic. So ana, so basically I got ana, I attached it to something. When you put it together, how does it sound? Right? So with verbs, for example, you're always going to put the ni there all the time. Right? Yaqtuluni, he's trying to kill me. Right? Or you just always do that because otherwise it'd be weird. Like it'd be like if you said yaqtulu and then you put a ya, it'd be like yaqtului. That's not a sound in Arabic. They don't have ui. That's not a sound, so you cannot say. Right? So you wouldn't do that with a verb or darabay, like he hit me. That's not a sound. So darabani. So you always with a verb you always have that note. Then here with other things, depending on the sound of the word, is it going to be a ya? Is it going to be a with a fatha? Is it going to be something else? And in reality, sometimes you have a choice. Like if you say my, you can put a fatha or no fatha. So kit sayarati or sayaratiya. Right? Halaka anni maliyah. My money, maliyah. So it's originally mali with a fatha, maliyah, and then they added there's a ha is added just to pronounce it, maliyah. Right? But by default, it's just basically we're trying to pronounce this word. It's a small sound, and so how would you put it with a big other word sound? That's the issue. So you're going to see this as me, this as me, or my, and this as me. All of these things will be me. Okay? And then what else? That's it. That's all it is. So if we look now at at 29, let's try and identify our connected pronouns. Okay, so again, you do not have to sit down and memorize the list because you will see them on every single page of the Quran. So all we have to do is read the Quran and be like, yeah, saw it again, seen it, right? Like the word nace, did I have to sit down and say, memorize it? You hear it so much, right? So you'll see it so much. That's what's nice, right? The Quran will teach you. There's so much repetition of difficult things. You will see it again and again and again, right? So all you need to do is do the textbook, read Quran, and be like, oh yeah, I remember, I've seen that. Right? Vocabulary comes up again.
There is also this ka key mentioned here.
Ka and ki.
Yeah.
So that was ka. So anta. Okay, anta becomes ka and anti.
So do you say like jazakallah for like men?
Jazakallahu khairan. You're saying jaza anta, jaza anta, Allahu khairan. So may reward you Allah well. Jaza is may reward. Ka is anta. But when you attach it to the verb, it becomes ka. Inna anta becomes innaka.
So
Okay.
To women you say like jazakillah.
Jazakillahu. Jazakillahu khairan. Yeah. We don't talk to women. Why did you thank her, right? The classic husband-wife conversation. Why are you so friendly with her? Why are you saying much? Why are you making dua for her? I'm joking. Okay, so jazakillah. So it's interesting. Imam and al-Bukhari, he has a chapter in Sahih Bukhari where he says, I can't remember what the top chapter is, but it says, Darda visited so-and-so when he was dying. Not a husband, right? So Abu Darda, he had two wives, one much early on, and then when she died, he married somebody else. So the young one, she conveyed a lot of the knowledge of Abu Darda. So she's young, I don't know how old she was, 20, 30, something like that. one of the Sahaba who was old, was dying, and she goes and visits him while he's dying. So Imam Bukhari is like, you can go and talk to a non-mahram, like as long as there's no fitna, as long as this guy's dying, you can go and ask, I'm making dua for you, etc. It's not haram to say that, right? Don't. So interesting. Okay. Anyway, so Bismillah. Innaka. So number one. Innaka, which is originally Inna anta. That doesn't exist. Inna anta does not exist. It becomes Innaka. La Rasulu. Right?
So that's if it was in the key, that would be
Correct, yeah. Innaki, yeah. Okay, number two. Innaka la Rasulu. Who and long, right? Did it say long? I can't see long here. But I know it's long because it's preceded by a short vowel. Rasuluhu. Right? So long and short. So again, imagine reading this with no tashkil and no dots. Hamza just looks like a line. Noon looks like a ta, tha, ba. Kaf looks like a lam. Right? And so you're sitting there with Sayyidina Umar, he's like, Rasuluhu. And I'm like, how did you know that? So it's my language. That's what it is. Right? You say it like this. Just like if I came along and said, what is this? I said, oh, that's dogs. So how do you know it was dogs? I said, well, because I speak English and it has to be dogs. It can't be anything else. I said, well, how did you know that the S is pronounced as a Z? It's my language. That's right. So there's a code and there's a system behind the code. Where's that from? I know the language, right? And so then what was the very first thing that the scholars did? It's like, hang on a minute. We need to find out what is this thing called Arabic. So they totally killed Arabic. What is Arabic? What are the letters? What are the sounds? What's this? What's that? What defines Arabic? Which tribes can we use Arabic from? Which tribes don't speak Arabic properly because they're affected by non-Arabs? This. What are the sounds that they make? What is grammar? What is morphology? What is every single thing, right? And what are dictionaries? What do these words mean? Right? That was the very first thing. Yes. Rasuluhu. Yeah. Luhu. Rasul. No, just the thing straight before it. Rasuluhu. So luhu. Yeah, so it has to be. So if there's a long vowel before it, then it will be short. If there's a short vowel before it, then it will be long. So the long vowel is the lam. The short vowel is the lam. Lam with the dhamma. That's short. So therefore, I'm going to pronounce the ha as if it was ha dhamma wow. Rasuluhu. Rasuluhu. Right. I'm going to add a wow. Right. And you'll see at the Saudi Musaf, I think they'll put a small wow. And I think again in the Pakistani Musaf they'll put a wow. Yes, like this, Rasuluhu. You don't write it. You don't write it, but you do pronounce it, right? And you'd never see that in any text. Like it's only they're doing it in the Musaf for you because you can't read it. You're confused, right? So the Saudi Musaf they have a certain code. They'll put the dhamma in a certain way. Oh, if it's going to do iqlab or ikhfa, the tanween looks like this. Otherwise, like that, that's all just, they invented it. That's how they wanted to do it for that particular print, right? But otherwise, you don't, even tajweed teachers, for example, I was doing qira'at warsh, for example, and the teacher was like, please do not bring a mushaf with warsh. Just bring any mushaf, like just as it is, right? Because then you're going to learn how to do it, right? You about to ask a question?
Well,
just pensive. Okay, so innaka rasuluhu, right? Okay, number 3. Good. So notice it's not lahu, it's lahu, right? How did I know that? Because la is short. So lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard. Good. So lahu, huwa has become hu, right? And so what does that mean? That's a very important statement. There are many basic statements we say in Arabic that are super unbelievably important. If we understood what they meant, right, it means very important. So it doesn't say in Arabic, ma fis samawati wa ma fil ardi lahu. It doesn't say that which is in the universe, i.e. the heavens and the earth, is his. It says his alone is that which is in the heavens and the earth, i.e. so if I say this pen This pen, for example, belongs to Zaytek. Is it possible that also belongs to me? Yeah. It could be shared. Might be a joint venture. Farid Dingle Limited goes into business with Zaytek, and we have joint ownership of this pen. So I say, هذا القلم لي. Right? This pen belongs to me. وهذا القلم لزيتك. That's fine. But when I say لي هذا القلم, I'm not saying the same thing. That means this pen belongs to me and it does not belong to anybody else. So when you say له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض, that means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala owns every single thing in the universe and you don't own it. And nobody else. So Allah alone, you throw in the word Allah, unto Allah alone it belongs every single thing in heaven and the earth, and you do not own a single thing. No, the shift, the fact that you're saying for him, but to him, as opposed to everything is mine and mine is everything. The shift, like إياك نعبد and نعبدك. نعبدك, we worship you, Allah. Okay, I know you worship me, but you also worship these other gods. But إياك نعبد means you we worship, i.e. you alone and nobody else.
Saying that first.
You shifted it, right? In a sense. So it's very important. You don't own anything, right? So nobody owns anything. That's very important. Yeah, go ahead. Ma, what? And then? In. So for him, what? In heavens and what? In earth. له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. So when somebody steals from you, have they stolen from you? It's not yours anyway. There's a big difference in frustration. I worked hard for that. Why did you take that away? As opposed to, I'm angry because Allah has let me play with it. Okay, He let me play with this money. And now you're playing with it without Allah's permission. You don't have permission to take it from me. So therefore, your anger for somebody stealing from you and stealing from somebody else should be the same. That's how you should see things. Your anger for the sake of Allah means there's no difference if you stole from me or I stole from you. Or if I stole from you or he stole from anybody else. The fact that stealing happened and Allah was disobeyed, that's anger for the sake of Allah. As opposed to, yeah, but I'm super angry because you said that to me. That means it's mixed. Right? It's not shirk as in that you're doing ibadah, but it's shirk in that it's not. You're not. That's not. That ayah is not in your head, and it's not in your heart. That's for sure. Right? So it's a big thing. Right? Okay. له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. Number 4. هو في بيتها. So huwa is a normal. He is in her house. في بيتها. Or he was in her house.
Wait, so why is that her house instead of? So what would his house be?
بيته.
BTE.
Yeah.
Oh.
إياك نعبد. Now here, now we can get any of these words and put إيا before it. So إياك نعبد. إياكي. إياه. إياي. فإياي فارهبون. Me alone dread. فإياي فارهبون. Right? So you can put إياي. That's just a way of basically getting a pronoun that's like this. And how would I put it by itself? The default is these are detached pronouns and they do not exist by themselves. So if you want to use them by themselves for a particular rhetorical reason, you're going to have to put the word iya, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, iyaya farhabun means, and if you were going to have dread, and if you're going to dread anybody, make sure that it is me. But iyaya farhabun, right? And so what iyyaka na'budu. So iyyaka na'budu means not we worship you, it means you we worship, i.e. you alone we worship. Iyyaka. Notice they say ka and not antum. We don't say iyyakum to Allah. Right? We use the word to. That's what I was saying, to. Right? It sounds odd, right? And I think in order do you do that? Right? When you speak to Allah, you use the word to. You don't use the word, you don't use up. Which sounds strange because you're so used to talking to, right? You're so used to talking out of respect, and it's like, we don't do that. Right? In Farsi, you wouldn't say Shuma to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Ka, and so Iya is a kind of like, so Ka is supposed to stick to something. I wanted, well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to put the ka before the verb. So it used to be stuck to the verb. Now, if you put, I can't put enter there. So what am I going to do? I put the word iya in its place. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a thing to build it on. It's just something to put it on. It doesn't mean anything. But iyaka does. So iyaka and iyaka means the light of your sun. So iyaka na'budu means, oh Allah, I worship the light of your sun. But iyaka with a shadda on the ya means you alone. There's a big difference, right? Iyaka and iyaka. Yes, exactly. Tajweed is important, right? You know, and so tajweed is important. Again, why is it important? What does it mean that tajweed is important? Does it mean that I go to hell because I'm not Arab? Is that how it is? Right? Like this letter. How much would you pay me if I can pronounce it? Like it's in Urdu, right? And you have it in Urdu and you have it in Pashto. I can't pronounce it to save my life. Right? I can't do it. Or even they have like even this, that sound as well. I can't do it. So what I'm trying to say is we should have awe of Allah alone. We shouldn't be awe like, oh my God, that goes so bad, it's so terrible. Or that's so amazing. Just it's all nice. There's a nice car, it's a useful car, buy it. Alhamdulillah, nice food, alhamdulillah. But be in awe of something, wow, this is so amazing. Well, that's so bad. It's nothing compared to heaven and hell. May Allah protect us. Okay, وَعَذَابِهُ الْعَذَابُ الْأَلِيمُ. So the word adabi. Number 9, inni, and number 10, innani. So let's look at those two words. Number 9 and number 10, what is the difference? So inna means what? Indeed, right? So I have inna. Inna plus ana equals inni. Inni. That's not how. That's what I'm trying to do. Inni. It's like no, it doesn't work like that. I use the noon. We say it goes. In reality, it goes to inna plus ni. So I can say innani. That's the default. Innani. Indeed, I. Innani. But then, how many noons are there? 3. Thank you. Inna is 2 noons. So a shadda, right? So it's in plus na. There's 3. So what happens? It just gets lightened to inni. That's how we normally say it most of the time. Inni. So this is like does not, and this is doesn't. Okay? They're the same. They mean the same thing. Same as doesn't and don't. Does not and doesn't. Same word. Same means the same thing. But does it already mean the same? Does not, is it really exactly the same as does not and doesn't? Is it really exactly the same? Like I do not want to talk to you, as opposed to I don't want to talk to you. Right? So one is emphasis. So innani is very emphatic. It's long, as opposed to inni. It's not so. Right?
The fact that the noon is added to give the flow, but when the inna is there, you can also say inni or inna.
Yeah, so here, the noon was added to avoid this, because that doesn't make any sense. Innay, that doesn't sound right. Innay. This doesn't sound, it sounds like something dual. Like A is often used for dual, like it doesn't sound right. So the noon was added, then subtracted. Okay, so that's here. Inni. With the? No. Innani min al-Muslimin. No. So indeed, I'm of the Muslims. Inni abdullah. Indeed, I am the slave of Allah. Okay. Number 11. Inni lakuma. So where are attached pronouns there? The e, the ya, good. Inni, so inna plus ana becomes inni, good. Indeed, I. Lakuma, I am for the two of you. Minan nasihin. Attached pronoun is kuma. Kuma.
But it was to you both.
Okay. Inni lakuma minan nasihin. I am truly for both of you a sincere advisor. Right? Nasiha, right? You say nasihat, right? Use that word, nasihat, right? Advice is funny, but nush means genuineness, right? So it doesn't mean advice, right? So for example, classic thing, right? Anybody who is more powerful than you, more financially stable than you, more of a sheikh than you, they give you advice, right? They're like, you know, Bahari, my advice to you is, you know, start a business when you're 14, right? And I'm like, dude, that's because your dad was a billionaire, right? So people share advice because they want to show off. They're like, you know, have you memorized the Quran yet? No. I advise you to memorize the Quran, right? If you memorize the Quran, I advise you get a PhD, right? I advise you to, you know, or they'll be like, yeah, I advise you buy this car. Yeah, dude, if I had the kind of money you have, right? You know, they'll flex and they give advice. That's not nasiha. Nasiha is, I really care about you, right? It's not I'm telling you off to make you seem bad, or I'm telling you stuff because, you know, I have choices that you don't have, right? It's nasiha is like, I really care about you, right? So therefore you're going to do it in the right way, at the right time, in the right tone, etc. Like, bro, I'm not judging you, but listen, this is what's going to happen if you keep doing what you're doing, right? You do it privately, etc. Imam Shafi'i says, man nasaha akhahu alanan faqad fadahahu wa shana. Whoever advises his brother, because he does something haram, for example, advises him publicly, he has embarrassed him, wa shana, and has made him ugly. ومن نصحه سرا فقد زين فقد نصحه وزانه. So shana made him ugly. Zana, from the word zain, beautiful. Zinat, right? He has made him beautiful. You talk to your brother privately, right? You don't slam people on the group. Your brother's haram, don't say that on the group. Private message, brother, that's riba. You can't say that, right? You don't put that on the group in front of everybody else, right? Unless you have to. Sometimes you have to, right? Benjamin Netanyahu, you're the biggest kafir ever. If you do not change right now, may you go to hell. You can do that publicly, right? As opposed to, but what was saying Musa and Harun, when they were speaking to then Benjamin Netanyahu, what did they say? And speak nicely to him, right? Perhaps it will change, right? But you can. There are certain times where you slam people publicly, right? When Sayyidina Umar came to take his shahada, the Prophet grabbed him and said, like, when are you going to change? He like shouted at him, right? That was Sayyidina Umar. He grabbed him and said, when are you going to change, right? They let him in because they were scared that he was going to come and kill them in Mecca, like in their private place. But he grabbed him and he said, like, really, you're not going to change? Like, you're not going to listen? He's like, no, I'm going to listen, right? There's certain people, certain times that you talk to people in a certain way, right? But the default is genuineness. I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to put you down. I'm not trying to say something just to say it. I really care about you, right? And that comes out, right? It comes out in the way you say it, etc., etc. You know, these kind of things. Okay. So inni lakuma minan nasihin. Okay. 12. Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahun. So hunna is a normal pronoun. Lahunna is an attached pronoun. Antum is a normal pronoun. And lakum is an attached pronoun. Right? So they are a garment for you and you are a garment for them. You are a protection for them. A protection, a source of comfort. So your wife or your husband is not there to expose your faults. Is there to say, I know I'm not perfect, you're not perfect. I'm a 70% Muslim, you're a 70% Muslim. Let's help each other. You get angry, I'm more patient. I'm lazy, you're more hardworking. Let's help each other. As opposed to, yeah, I knew you were lazy before I married you, and look, right? That's not the point, right? You're there supposed to be. So it's intimate, physical. It's intimate. It's close. It's protection. It's warmth. It's support. That's the point. That's the point of a husband or wife, right? Not to say, oh look, I knew you like this, and here you are. Okay.
So the only attached one is lahunna in this one?
Lahunna and lakum. Okay. Number 13. Good. Notice Waliya. Waliya deen. Okay? In reality, there are four attached pronouns in this verse, but you can't see one. So you have to look at the Arabic, look at the English, look at the Arabic, look at the English, and you'll find it. So lakum is easy. So what's the difference between dinukum lakum and lakum dinukum? What's the difference? Dinukum, your religion is, lakum is for you. Okay, but it might be for me as well. But if I say lakum dinukum, is for you, is your religion, not for me. Wali dini, and for me is my religion, it's not for you. Right? So this verse, Surah Al-Kafirun, is very, very important in the West. Very, very important. If you compare American Muslims in general versus UK Muslims in general, you find two extremes. In England, the way that Muslims have survived is by living in a bubble. So you go to Birmingham, and you're going to find the best Punjabi restaurants, and they speak Mir Puri, which is a version of Punjabi, right? And it's like, how long have you been in England? And they're like, oh, I've been here my whole life. Okay, when did your dad come? Oh, he was born here. Like, so none of you are from Mirpur. No. Why are you speaking Mirpuri then? Like, why do you still speak? Why do you speak English with a funny accent? Like, why aren't you part of England? He says, because we live in a bubble. That's how they kept to the deen in England. So you go to deen in England, it's like there's more deen generally for the Muslims. England is 3% Muslim, America is 1% Muslim. And that 3% in England there's way more deen, right? It's like the people are way more religious than America because they live in a bubble. Is that good? Yes and no. They survive by living in a bubble, right? Which is not good. You should be a UK Muslim, right? And you are part of the culture. You speak the language. You understand the language. You might have your own different clothes, different whatever it is. But you're not from Punjab, right? You are English, so you need to be an English Muslim. What do we find in America? You just dissolved, right? You just disappeared. Like the American culture is very aggressive. You just became American, right? Which is not right. So lakum dinukum means, it doesn't mean lakum li ta'ami wa lakum ta'amakum, right? What's that got to do with how you speak, how you dress, whatever? Like this, is it sunnah to wear a thobe like this? Not sunnah to wear a thobe like this. I wear clothes like this because it means something to you. But it's not sunnah to dress like this. The Prophet did not come and teach us to wear Pakistani clothes or Indian clothes or Arab clothes or whatever. That's not the deen. The deen is, as long as it's loose from here to here, that's Islamic. However it is, whatever it is. Malaysian clothes are totally different to Nigerian clothes, totally different to, that's all of it is deen, right? So there's deen and there's culture, they're not the same thing. There's deen and there's language, they're not the same thing, right? So when you say my religion, but what you see in America generally is just, well, what happened? Like you just disappeared, right? That 1% of America that's Muslim, I would say maybe 80%, just like, where are you? Like they don't know the deen, just totally disappeared, right? They're less like, they're not going to speak their native languages. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to be at the mosque. They're like, yeah, I'm just American, meaning kafir, right? I'm just like anybody else. So the kum dinukum waliya din is like, my religion is for me, your religion is for you. This is who I am. I identify. I know who I am. If you don't know who you are, it's a problem. Right? So lakum dinukum, for you alone is your religion, and for me is my religion. So there's two things that's happening with the ana here. Number one, we do not see this. And we see this. That's number one. Okay, where do we see this? Waliya. Okay? So why is that happening? Just because. So there's another qira'ah, and qira'ah Shu'bah, you recite, lakum dinukum wali din. Wali din. So waliya din and wali din is exactly the same. Not a difference. Like, is it bath or bath? Same. That's just the word. So waliya, you can put the fatha there as well. So that's what we see. In Hafs, we recite waliya din. In Shu'bah and Asim, we recite wali din. Lakum dinukum wali din. The other thing that's very tricky is, where is the word my religion? Where's the word my with the word deen? Exactly. So in Hafs, we're going to recite it like this. Lakum dinukum waliya dini bismillahir rahmanir rahim. There's just a kasra. So why is there a kasra there? It's just random. So what it is dini, my religion. Okay, and the ya has been dropped. Dini. Okay, and we do not recite that in Hafs, we do not recite it the kasra, the ya at all. We don't recite it. We just say dini with a kasra. I believe in Warsh, or at least in Susi, you're going to say, if you continue to actually pronounce the ya, you will say, Lakum dinukum waliya dini, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. What's next? Idha ja'a nasrullahi wal fath. You will actually hear that ya. So, but dini with the kasra is actually my religion. And it's quite common for that to happen. Rabbi. You don't usually say Rabbi. You usually say Rabbi. You just drop the ya. Rabbi. Just shortened. It's very common for that to happen. Okay? So the two things are happening. Number one, there's a fatha on the ya, just because you can. That's how we recite it in Hafs. Another way of saying it's totally fine Arabic. And the second thing is the ya has been dropped. Right? That's a bit sneaky. Okay? 14. Inna ma'akum. Indeed, we are with you. Okay, number 15.
Inna also is
Inna ma'akum. So inna, that's to inna nahnu, right?
So where's the we? The we.
In which one?
Early we.
Inna. So it's inna plus na becomes inna. Right? So inna plus nahnu goes to innana, which goes to inna. That's the normal way that we say it, inna. Okay? Inna.
Or like in would be.
Mhm. Okay, inna ma'akum. Number 15. So where are the attached pronouns? Allahu Rabbu na wa Rabbu kum. La na a'malu na wa la kum a'malukum. Okay, what's happening with the sentence structure then? So it says Allah is our Lord. Is it also your Lord? So that's why I say Allah is our Lord. Wa Rabbukum. It doesn't say Rabbun Allah. That would mean only Allah is our Lord. He drops it around. But he says Allah is our Lord and your Lord. When the sense of only comes in, it's switched. It says, for us, our deeds. For you, your deeds. I.e., our deeds are only ours. If I've done something wrong, if I'm lying about Islam, don't come and kill me or anything. It's nothing to do with me. If I'm lying, fine. If Jesus is God and I'm a liar, are you going to be punished? You're not going to be punished. So don't worry if I'm doing something wrong. But worry if you're doing something wrong. Right? Lana a'maluna. Our deeds are our deeds. And your deeds are also your deeds. We're just advising you. We're not trying to get you to change because we're scared that we're going to be punished because of you. We're just advising you. I'm not going to benefit from your deeds, and you're not going to benefit from my deeds. I'm just giving you advice. Our deeds are for us alone, and your deeds are for yours alone. So you work out how you want to be on Judgment Day. Okay, so Allahu Rabbuna wa Rabbukum lana a'maluna wa lakum a'malukum wa nahnu lahu abidun, I believe, right? I'm not sure if that's the correct verse there. Okay. Okay, and then he goes on to the exercises. You don't have to do any of these exercises. Why? Because these attached pronouns are going to come on every single page of the Quran. So if we read Quran, you're going to see what's this, what's this, what's this, what's this. It's a very short list, right? It's a short list. That table is going to come every single page of the Quran. You're going to see this word, that word, this word, that word, this word. You're going to see it all the time. See it all the time. So all you need to do is read and actively read, right? Meaning you ask the questions. You're like, stop. Why? 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 For example, lakum dinukum waliya din. You're like, why? What's going on? Where's the yeah? Where's the this? Why is there kasra? But if you're not asking that question, then yeah, you're just gonna. Obviously, you have the ajr of reciting Quran, but you won't be doing Arabic. But if you are looking at it like, why? What's going on? What does this word mean? What's going on? What does this word mean? What's going on? Then you're going to continually be revising all the Arabic that you're doing, right? Yes.
So when do you, why do you have an independent pronoun and an attached pronoun? Like when do you use attached pronoun and when do you use independent? In a word, can use both of them, right? I can independently.
Yeah, so usually when you're saying I am or he is, right? When you usually have a sentence like that, that's when you have a detached pronoun. Or you're saying when it comes after a preposition, or after inna, or after a verb, or after a noun, when it's like his car, my car, that's when you can use attached pronouns. So his house, my house, attached pronoun. After a verb, he hit me, I saw you, attached pronoun. And then after inna, and after prepositions like in, me, fiya, right? It's going to be like that. Okay. But otherwise, when you say I am and you are, I'm going to use a normal thing. Right? Anta, ana, Farid. That's normal. Okay, that is all. Difficult? The concept, there's nothing difficult about the concept, but it's difficult in terms of memorizing. Again, how are you going to memorize a list? Again, be a lazy student like me. Don't memorize a list. Just read Quran. You'll see it again and again and again and again and again, right? But if you don't do it, then you'll be like, oh, I don't know Arabic. It's like, yeah, because you didn't read. You didn't read or you didn't ask any questions, right? And so we have a major problem, which is how many Muslims have never read the Quran in English or Arabic or any language. It's like, like I know, non-Muslims who, I know one non-Muslim, I think he read the Quran 50 times. He's not Muslim. He has all these notes on these things, right? And so we have to be, it's very important that we read and we ask questions. What does it mean? What's going on? Etc. Even a bad translation is something, right? But I feel like it's very difficult, when we don't do that. Okay, so here has on exercise 7, it goes through all these things. Again, we don't need to do any of this stuff. I honestly don't believe it's that particularly useful. If you want to do it, obviously do it. But that is basically it. So how about, what time is it now? Yes, Mikana. Play a game, yeah. We can do vocab game up from maybe unit 5 to unit 7. Or we can open the Mus'haf if you like. We just start on Fatiha and just find pronouns. Yeah, should we do that? So if we just start with Fatiha, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu, Nasta'in, Iyyaka, hash pronoun. Ihdina, that means guide us. Ihdina, us. Ihdina, guide us. As-sirata mustaqim, sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim, alayhim, that pronoun. Why was it him and not hum? Alay, sound of a ya or a kasra, right? But you can also say alayhum. غير المغضوب عليهم, touch pronoun. ولا الضالين, آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه. Fee, right? Fee. What's this? In it. Fee. Okay? ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه. Attached pronoun. Okay, why is it short and not long? Why do we say fihi? It's already a long time before it. Fihi, right? فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم رزقناهم. How many pronouns are there? رزقناهم. 2 attached pronouns. Provided we them. We provided them, and of that which they provide, they spend. ومما رزقناهم الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة وبالآخرة هم يوقنون. They are هم. That's normal. هم يوقنون. أولئك على هدى من ربهم. Attached pronoun. وأولئك هم المفلحون. إن الذين كفروا سواء عليهم. عليهم. Why do we say عليهم and not عليهم? Because of the yeah. سواء أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم. 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 hum. Attached pronoun. Them. لا يؤمنون. ختم الله على قلوبهم. قلوبهم. Attached pronoun. The kasra is making this. قلوبهم. وعلى أبصارهم. وعلى أبصارهم. غشاوة. ولهم. For them. عذاب أليم. عذاب عليم. ومن الناس من يقول آمنا. Believed we. آمنا. So na, that means we. آمنا بالله وباليوم الآخر وما هم. And not they. Normal pronoun. وما هم بمؤمنين يخادعون الله والذين آمنوا ما يخدعون إلا أنفسهم themselves. They are trying to trick Allah and His Messenger and the people who believe, then they're only tricking themselves. أنفسهم وما يشعرون في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا ولهم عذاب أليم. وإذا قيل لهم لا تفسدوا في الأرض قالوا إنما نحن. That's a normal pronoun. We مصلحون. ألا إنهم. So that was hum. It became attached to inna. What happened to it? Nothing. Just the way you write it, that's all. Hum by itself, innahum. Same thing. ألا إنهم هم المفسدون. هم المفسدون ولكن لا يشعرون. وإذا قيل لهم آمنوا. وإذا قيل لهم. When it said to them. لا آمنوا كما آمن الناس قالوا أنؤمن كما آمن السفهاء ألا إنهم they ألا إنهم هم السفهاء they are the fools ولكن لا يعلمون. Yes. And amta is actually an attached pronoun as well, but we haven't seen it here. That ta is you. But that's an attached pronoun that's attached to a verb, and that's slightly different. That's a slightly different word. So there are a bunch of attached pronouns that we haven't seen. They are attached pronouns that are which are to do with verbs, and we will see it in like unit I think like 11, 12. We're starting into verbs. Okay. ألا إنهم هو ولكن لا وإذا لقوا الذين آمنوا قالوا آمنا we have believed وإذا خلوا إلى شياطينهم their devils when they go alone to their devils قالوا إنا معكم. That was our verse. Indeed we are with إنا معكم we are with you إنما نحن we are only and obviously مستهزئ. We're just having a joke with them, that's all. الله يستهزئ بهم ويمدهم. Allah is laughing at them and He is extending them في طغيانهم in their lost total blindness and transgression. طغيان يعمهون أولئك الذين اشتروا الضلالة بالهدى فما ربحت تجارتهم. Their trade did not make any money. فما ربحت تجارتهم وما كانوا مهتدين. مثلهم, the example of them, كمثل الذي استوقد نارا فلما أضاءت ما حوله. Long. Why does it say that? ما حوله, around him. حوله. How do I know this is long? Short, so this is going to be long. There's a while here. فلما أضاءت ما حوله ذهب الله بنورهم. ذهب الله بنورهم وتركهم. He left them. تركهم. He left them. ذهب الله بنورهم وتركهم في was it? في ضاءت ما حول ذهب الله بنورهم وتركهم في ظلمات لا يبصرون. في ظلمات لا يبصرون. صم بكم عمي فلا يرجعون. أو كصيب من السماء فيه ظلمات وبرق. فيه ظلمات what is it? فيه ظلمات ورعد وبرق يَجْعَلُونَ أَصَابِعَهُمْ, their fingers, فِي آذَانِهِمْ, in their ears, مِنَ الصَّوَاعِقِ حَذَرَ الْمَوْتِ وَاللَّهُ مُحِيطٌ بِالْكَافِرِينَ يَكَادُ الْبَرْقُ يَخْطَفُ أَبْصَارَهُم, the lightning almost takes out their eyes. Right? So again, what I'm trying to say is, look, you go through the whole Quran, you're going to find these things again and again and again and again and again. All we need to do is just read it. Right? And we're going to find infinite examples of that. And the list is short enough for you to see it enough times that you won't forget. It will go into your long-term memory very quickly. Again, if we recite Quran. Okay. Shall we start looking at Unit 8? Should we do a vocab? So vocab review? Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So let's take, let's take 1 minute, or 3 minutes, and let's quickly look at Unit 5 vocab, okay? Charlie, you want to take part? You want to join one of the teams? So Mikal is an example of, we mentioned that diversity in Arabic. His name is Mikal, and Mikail and Mikail. And in Arabic, you can also say Mikail as well with an ayn. Because number one, it's not Arabic, it's a Hebrew word. So that's why it's like different words. Number two, there's like different ways of saying it. So in the Quran, is it Mikal, or is it Mikail, or is it Mikail? It's all three. Right? It's not Mikhail. Right? That's the guy who invented the Kalashnikov. Mikhail Kalashnikov. That's a Russian for Michael. AK-47. Smells really good. Alhamdulillah. I'll send them a long, angry, email. Why is it late? P.S. The book smells really nice. Okay, Bismillah.
Is it just a new?
Alhamdulillah. Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Let's close our books, please. Okay, fingers on the buzzers. What is the difference in mu'minun and mu'minun? Mu'minun and mu'minun. What is the difference? Singular and plural. Good. Zalim means oppressor. Kafir means disbeliever. Muflih, successful person. Ulaika, those. Ha'ula'i, these. Okay, ulaika, those. Ha'ula'i, these. Qawmun, people. Muhsin, good, people who do good, people who do good things. Al-ihsan is to do something better, to do things properly, right? So we're talking about ihsan as in and ta'budullah ka'annaka tarahu, you should worship Allah, not just worship Allah, but as if you're seeing Him. That's called ihsan. And also to do things properly. It comes in the hadith, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded that there's ihsan in everything, even when you're killing an animal. But I'm killing him, who cares? Why can't I kick an animal out from one side of the farm to the other? What's wrong with that? It's an animal. Like, who cares? No, that's not how you do it. Right? When you print paper properly. When you park the car properly. When you, whatever you do it with ihsan. Everything should be done properly. And that's worshipping Allah properly, right? Ihsan. So those means to excel in good, to do good, right? Yuhibbu. Yuhibbu, huwa yuhibbu means he loves. Yuhibbu means he loves. Right? Okay. Muttaqeen. God-fearing or God-weary, people who put a barrier besides themselves and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's punishment. Huda, guidance. Dhalika, that. Jaza, outcome, reward, or recompense. So jaza could be good or bad. Ajr is only good, right? So reward, you can put ajr. Jaza, you can put ajr. But you say jazakullah means may Allah recompense you. What, well or bad? You say khayran, jazakullahu khayran. May Allah recompense you well, because it might be bad. May Allah, if you say somebody, you killed, you murdered somebody, say jazakullahu sharran. May Allah recompense you evilly and give you the evil for what you did, right? Munafiqeen. hypocrites. Asfal, lowest. You're cheating. Ghar, cave. إذ هما في الغار. When the two of them were in the in the cave. Rabbi, Rabbi, Rabbiya. It's all the same. So normally we don't actually say Rabbi. You look in the Quran, it's like Rabbi with a kasra. It's like, what's that? Oh, you just drop the ya. Why? You can. It happens, right? Okay, good. Let's quickly, 1 minute, look at Unit 6 vocab. So look at the words that you don't know. Don't look at the words that you do know. Jamie, Connor. Yeah, let's try and beat them. Who's going to join Mikhail's team? Yeah, Mikhail, look. Wa'ada means promised. Inna means indeed. Ard means earth. He means in. Nahar, you know Nahar? What? Daytime. Ummahat means mothers. You know that word already? Jannah, Jannatan, two colors. Yameen. What's your favorite word? No, Yameen means right, Shimal means left. Yeah, you can. Okay, Bismillah, close your books. Okay. Naim. Bliss. Good. Fi. In. Ard. Earth. Faiz. Successful. Yeah. Faiz doesn't mean just success. It means this person who gets, they manage to get through the difficulty. Right? So in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in Surah An-Naba, when it talks about these people that for the kuffar, it's only going to get worse. And then it says, Inna lil muttaqina mafaza. The people of taqwa, they manage to get through all of that difficulty and they manage to get to a place where they will be safe and secure. Okay? That's a place of security. Okay? Shimal. Shamal. North. It also means the north wind, and that's why in Farsi, Shamal is the wind, right? It's literally the north wind. Shamal, right, is north wind. So Shamal, north. Shimal, left. Okay? Ummahat, mothers, yeah. Good. Qawm, Nahnu, we. Ansar, helpers, plural. Layl, night. Oh, good. Trigger happy. Awliya, friends, protectors, right? Wali is the person you look after, or that you look after, or the person who looks after you. Again, why is it very important? In Saudi Arabia at this time, do we have cities with laws and police? No. You have your tribe. And if you leave your tribe, you have nobody. So Allah is, so Allah so you're going to be, Allah tells them, leave your tribe because they're doing shirk and have no protector. Anybody can beat you up, kill you, take your property, anything you want, because Allah will be your wali. Allah will look after you and the believers will look after you. How is that important to today? Unbelievably important. Right? What if we don't side with that country? What if we don't side? Allah will look after you, don't worry. Right? But we don't have the iman to do it. You have to side with this or side with that. Right? Side with this side of the whatever Third World War or whatever you want to call it, the Third Cold War or whatever it is. And so that's wrong. Okay. Ayatain. 2 ayahs. Good. Ma. What not? Sound very British there. What not? Right? That's right. And what not? And that which. هذا ما أردت. This is the thing that I wanted. That which. Right? Meaning what? Meaning that which. So not, what, and that which. It has other uses as well. Okay. Ashab. Friends and also people of. Right? Sahibu mal. Somebody who has money. Ashabul amwal. The people of that thing. Okay? Okay, let's look at 7 quickly, then look at the vocab. Let's we just did it, so we don't have to review it. Rasul, messenger. Na'budu, we worship. Ja'ala, he made, right? Rabb, Lord. Muslimin, Muslims. Alim, Mubin is clear. Alim, painful. Adabun alim, a painful punishment. Deen, religion. Dini, my religion. Libas, clothes. Okay, ma'a, with. Bro. Guys, it's like firing from the hip, right? Okay, lakum, for you or yours. Okay, Rabbuna, our Lord, right? A'maluna, our actions. Inni, inna, indeed we. Inna, indeed we. Inni, indeed I. Okay. I think that's that, guys. That's a wrap, I think. And so next week, do we have a class? Or next week? Yes, we have a class, but we're on Zoom with next 2 classes, right? Next 2 classes are on Zoom, and then we have Eid break. Is that correct? No, we have the Eid break before. 1 class on Zoom, then the Eid break, and then another class on Zoom? I can't remember exactly, right? So anyway, do you think you could have done today's class by yourself? I did add quite a lot, but I think you could do it. If you just looked at the 2 pages, like, yeah, I kind of know this. And even the workbook you didn't have to do, right? So while on Zoom, right, I've been teaching on Zoom for the last 13 years or more than that. I do on Zoom for ages. Like, teaching online is terrible. Like the worst possible thing you can do, right? If everyone's done a master's online, it's like a headache, right? It's like a miracle that you managed to do the class. So anyway, so please, I need you to roll up your sleeves, and so we have, basically we have a month of disturbance anyway, right? Basically, we have Eid, something like that. So how can we deal with that disturbance? Is if you're pushing forward, you have the book now, read it, look at it, work it out, and be like, yeah, I know what's going on, right? And then we can, I'm teaching this class online. I have another class where I teach it Saturday mornings, and it's like 2 groups of independent study. That's all they do. We meet for like half an hour. Here we meet 2 hours a week. Half an hour, and the students are like, oh yeah, they do 3 units by themselves a week. And the guy's sending me pictures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He started at unit 2, and he's now in unit 13 by himself, right? Another group doing the same thing. So study is only independent study. We all study, right? Study is you're finishing university now? Yeah, but like, so did they spoon feed you everything? No. Like, here's the textbook, do the test, right? So anyway, a lot of these things are going to be reviewed. We've already seen like 8 is super easy. We've already seen prepositions, it's just reviewing the idea. 9 is super easy. We've already seen inna. We dealt with it. And then 10, we've already seen the of, the hidden of. These are all concepts we know, right? So this next, if you can be up to unit 15 by the time I come back, and we attend the Zoom classes and we ask questions, then it'd be great, right? So far, we're in tandem with the sister. We're doing 1 unit a week. But I really don't think we need to do that. I think you can sit down and be like, yeah, I totally understand this. I've looked at the examples. I've noted down the new vocab. But the issue is, if you don't do the vocab, that's when you're going to get behind, because you're going to be like, I don't even understand what I'm reading, right? I know the structure, but I don't understand what is being said. Okay, so you need to follow up with the vocab. But if we can try, and by the time we come back, so that's whatever, 5 weeks or whatever, in those 5 weeks, if we can get to unit 15 or beyond, I have no problem with somebody sitting here in the corner and doing it by themselves, right? Like, hey, I know this, and they just ask questions every 2 minutes, right? So let's try and do that, inshallah. And that means if we get to unit 15 is what? Is like 40% of the book. It's only 40 units, right? MashaAllah, do you feel we've gone somewhere? Do you feel yeah, right? So again, I mentioned this before, the fact that you can do this book is not a blessing, it is a hujjah against us. Like, if the fact that we can do this book means we have to do the book, right? You know, especially, you know, some of us are younger, you know, brothers at the back, families, work, this, that. It's rare you have the opportunity to actually sit down and do stuff. And so, alhamdulillah, Rabbil, we have, and so we have to finish it, right? And that's what, once we finish it, then inshallah ta'ala, we can pick up anything, right? So my friend, he finished a book like this. He picked up a 4-volume, you know, Ihya Ulumuddin by Imam Ghazali, read the whole thing. Now, it's difficult, but this book gets you there. Like, I can actually do this. I have basic vocab. I know how to use a dictionary. Just do it, right? And then you can, I can study Sahih Bukhari. That'll be cool. It might take me 50 years, but you can actually do it, right? And so, and then you say, wow, this is not that difficult, right? Inshallah. Okay. So please, let's try and aim for that unit 15. Who knows everything. When you did Arabic before then?
Huh?
You did Arabic before? Slightly. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Okay, inshallah, we'll stop here, inshallah ta'ala. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Subhanallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.